All right, I had this dream. The dream was more like a vision and a prophecy. I had this dream that I had made a reservation at this hotel, and when I got there, I paid for the room. It was reserved for me. It was mine. I paid for it. And when I when I got there, they told me where my room was. My room was on the top floor, where I had the best room. It had the beautiful view and everything. It was nice. But when I went up the stairs, I started noticing some things was a little off. For a place that was supposed to be uh, the best, it actually wasn't. There were some little things that was wrong. So anyway, uh, I went up 3 flights of stairs, and as I was going up, I noticed that the rail at the beginning of the stairs were missing. So I ignored it, and I went to my room. And when I opened up the door, uh, it was furnished, but there were some things that wasn't right. Things wasn't working like it was supposed to. So I went to the front desk and I told them what was wrong with the room, and they sent me to another room. Well, the other room that I went to, it was already occupied. There was a man in there, and there wasn't a bed or anything in there. There was nowhere for me to sleep, and so I dropped my things off and I left. I went down to the next floor because my room was on the top floor, and then the other room that they moved me to was a lower floor. And so when I went down to another lower floor, I found a room, and the room that how my room should have been, they had a man in it. And I was like, this is my room, because everything was perfect. It had all the furniture, it had the beds and everything in it, and it was nice. And so I went back upstairs and I grabbed my things and I moved into the room. But at the same time, uh, it was already occupied by a man. So you know the so I didn't think too much into it, because the guy, he was just sitting there by himself, and he was just talking, and I'm listening to him, and so I leave to go out to try to find me like a mate, to go try to find me a wife, and somebody just to hang out with and stuff. So upon me looking, I found um, these women. They were they were women with women, and there were women that worked with the woman that had a man, and the man already had a woman. So these women, they were arguing, trying to justify their behavior of, it's okay for a woman and a woman to be together. And um and I'm and so it's like everywhere I went, I was basically being rejected, by women, uh, because of the things that they were doing, So it was like, I just wasn't accepted. And then I went back to the second room that I was in, and there was a guy that was in it, and uh, while I was there, I had a vision, and it was these giant balls that were coming towards the earth to destroy everything. And I was trying to tell the people to prepare themselves, but nobody was listening because everyone was too busy arguing amongst themselves, and they were too busy lusting amongst themselves. You know, they wasn't even listening to me. They wasn't even trying to prepare themselves. And uh, so I so I went back down the stairs, and it was like the balcony was even worse. It was unstable where you couldn't even stand. It was like everything was falling apart. And so I go down the stairs, and I go back to my room, and um, I go inside, and this guy that was already there, he had the room full of people. They were drinking, smoking, and lusting after each other. And this girl that was there, she was flirting with me, and and she had promised herself to me. So when the card game was over, we went in the room, and she let me do whatever I wanted to her. But then when it came time for me to, to take her, this other woman, she came into the picture. She took her clothes off, and she started dry humping her, naked, and and then and I'm standing over them, because she came in between us, and she asked me. She said, "What are you doing? Are you gay?" I was like, "What do you mean?" Because I'm like, both of you all are women, and she said, I don't sleep with another man, and I'm looking at her, and she had her breasts and everything removed, but she didn't have no, she didn't have the male part. She still had her female part, but her breasts were gone. And so I looked at them, and I was like, you know what? I apologize. I'm sorry. And I was leaving my room. And when I left out of the bedroom, I went into the living room where everybody was playing cards and stuff. And but the guy that was actually there, the man was actually the enemy. And the girl that had promised herself to me, she had came out of the room, and she ran to him, and she said, "This man was trying to have sex with me, and I don't sleep with men. I sleep with women." And then but I was like to myself, but the woman that was in the room with you thinks she's a man, and she's trying to have sex with you. So, but before I left, I had looked out the window, and I saw this place that was once beautiful. It's now trashed. It's dirty. There's no clean parts of this place. And as I was leaving the room, I said to myself that the place that I paid for, the place that was reserved for me, I was not accepted. but rejected. I paid for a place that I reserved a place that I paid for that was taken by man. I was I was rejected and not accepted in my own place. None of them were preparing themselves for what was to come. And I couldn't I couldn't grieve for the people, and there was nothing I can do for the people because they were dead anyway. And that was the dream that I dreamed this morning.
Mm.